West Point's parade ground gleams under floodlights. Colonel Ethan Graves, Commandant of Cadet Discipline, prepares to expel 40 mid-classmen for a massive exam-cheating ring. Then he spots the final name on the evidence list, Cadet First Class Logan Graves, his own son. Estranged since Ethan chose duty over family. Expose the ring and destroy Logan's future, or bury the proof and watch the Academy's honor code collapse. Rain streaked the tall windows of Cullum Hall, tracing erratic rivulets across glass panes older than most of the cadets sleeping beyond them. For Colonel Ethan Graves, head of cadet discipline, there was no such thing as off hours, only duty. Inside his office, warm lamplight threw amber reflections across polished oak and brass. Above the hearth, a portrait of General MacArthur presided. The only noise was the low hum of the adjacent server rack. A monitor glowed, casting a blue haze across Graves' lined face. On screen, a spreadsheet, 40 cadet names, flagged for unauthorized access to secure exam files. Graves cross-checked logins, timestamps, terminal IDs. The breach wasn't petty mischief. This was coordinated, surgical, the largest academic scandal in Academy history. He moved to finalize the file. Then a 41st name generated. User ID, lgraves01 access. Time 0134 Zulu, terminal barracks, Delta 4. Graves leaned forward. The profile opened instantly. Cadet First Class, Logan Ethan Graves Company. D4 Class of 2025. Son of Colress Ethan R. Graves. USA. His throat tightened. Logan, his son, estranged, distant yet unmistakably his. He replayed Delta 4 barracks footage. 0132 hours Logan entering with his issued laptop. Match confirmed. A knock broke the stillness. Enter, Graves said. Major Diane Keller stepped in, carrying a report and coffee. Sir, final list of 40 cadets. Its logs are stable. Ready for the honor board. Graves didn't turn. At a 41st, Cadet Logan Graves. She hesitated. Sir, that's your son. So it seems. She studied him. Should I notify the superintendent? Not yet. Alone again. Graves stared at the cursor over the checkbox. Send to honor board. He didn't click. Graves walked the barracks hall like a ghost. He knocked on D4. The door opened. Logan stood in PT gear, sweat damp, earbuds in hand. His face froze. Dad, we need to talk. Interrogation room 2. They sat in silence. Logan read the page Graves handed over. His name, his login. You think I cheated. I think your terminal accessed protected files. Explain it. Logan leaned back. So I'm guilty unless proven innocent. You're on the list, Logan. A beat. You didn't even ask if I was framed. Were you, I didn't cheat? That's not a denial of access. I didn't cheat, Logan repeated. If you believe I did, then maybe you've already decided who I am. Graves stood, weary. You have 4 hours? If you're innocent, prove it. Logan didn't look up. The door closed behind Graves. Rain still hammered the windows. The storm inside him had only just begun. West Point. 0700 hours. Colonel Ethan Graves sat in the superintendent's outer office, spine straight despite the fatigue pulling at his shoulders. The windows rattled with wind from the storm still crawling up the Hudson. Aide-de-camps moved briskly in and out, avoiding his gaze. Everyone had heard the rumors by now. The cheating ring had a name, and one of them was Graves's son. The door opened. Major Keller stepped out and gave a tight nod. He'll see you now. Graves entered. Lieutenant General Harrington stood behind his desk, reading from a printed copy of the latest incident report. He didn't look up. Close the door. Graves did. Harrington finally met his eyes. You should have brought this to me the second you saw your son's name. I wanted to verify the data. It's not your call to sit on conflict of interest intel. I'm aware. Harrington tossed the folder onto his desk. The story's out. It hit 2 military blogs this morning. Somebody inside leaked the cadet list. We're already getting calls from the Hill. Graves didn't flinch. We don't know who leaked it yet. Doesn't matter. Media's got a scent. You've got 24 hours to present a full disciplinary package. No omissions. That includes your son. Graves nodded slowly. Dismissed. Cadet Mess Hall. 0730 hours. The hall buzzed with murmurs. Heads turned as Logan entered in his cadet grays. Jaw set, eyes forward. At the far end, his company table fell silent. A few cadets leaned in and whispered. One peeled off and left his tray half finished. Logan sat, unmoving, across the room. Another cadet snapped a photo. Logan caught it. He didn't react. Whispers chased him like shadows. That's the commandant's kid. Cheated on the physics final. Can't be true. He was up for the Cyber Corps. Logan focused on his untouched tray, counting seconds until he could leave. Commandant's office. 800 hours. Keller paced as Graves read a new file. It had confirmed external traces on several devices. A line of code, buried deep in a physics simulator plugin, matched a signature found in old DARPA breach records, a fragment tied to a foreign contractor. Keller tapped the file. This wasn't just cheating. Someone piggybacked this ring to get access to our network. Graves stood. Then Logan may have been a pawn, or worse. He knew and did nothing. Keller hesitated. Or he knew and tried to stop it. We don't know yet. Graves rubbed his temple. He said he didn't cheat. You believe him? A pause. I believe. He believes he didn't. Sir, if foreign access was involved, this goes beyond the honor board. We need to loop in NCIS. Graves nodded grimly. Do it, and prepare the cadet tribunal. I'll notify Logan. Outside the honor courtroom. 900 hours. Graves stood in full dress uniform, watching through the glass as cadets filed into the hearing room. Logan was seated at the front, alone. Rain streaked the windows again. Inside, whispers were silenced as the honor committee chair pounded the gavel. The gray line had begun to fracture. The photograph on the wall showed the three of them, Ethan, Rachel, and a 10-year-old Logan smiling under a 4th of July banner. It had been taken 15 years ago, before deployments, before the divorce, before Logan stopped smiling. Ethan stood across the room now, arms crossed, staring at it. He hadn't slept. The honor board hearing had adjourned after initial statements, pending NCIS clearance. But nothing felt resolved. A soft knock broke the silence. Rachel Graves stepped in from the rain, trench coat soaked, hair damp from the walk across campus. She looked older than the picture on the wall, but not by much. There was steel in her gaze, and something else disappointment barely contained. I got the superintendent's call, she said. You weren't going to tell me, Ethan gestured toward the chair. You're here now. She didn't sit. How bad is it? He hesitated. He's involved. The evidence, his access code. Terminal, everything points to him, except the part where he didn't cheat. You believe that I believe he spent his whole life trying not to be you? Ethan's jaw tightened. Rachel stepped closer. You want to know why he didn't come to you? Because every time he looked for a father, he got a colonel, discipline, orders, silence. You left us in pieces, and then blamed us for shattering. He looked down. I thought he hated me. He didn't. He waited. Then he gave up. She finally sat, exhaling hard. Whatever happens, don't make him walk through this alone. Ethan nodded slowly. I won't. They sat in silence, for the first time in years. It wasn't angry. The honor courtroom was packed. Rows of cadets in gray dress uniforms lined the benches, eyes forward, but minds racing. At the tribunal bench, the cadet honor committee sat in solemn formation. 2 staff advisors flanked them. A civilian observer from the Department of Defense typed notes into a tablet without looking up. At the center table, Logan sat with his cadet advocate. He looked calm, too calm, Graves thought. Watching from the rear, Major Keller approached him. We've got a problem. What now? She handed him a phone. The screen displayed a breaking news alert. Cheating scandal at West Point widens espionage links uncovered. The press has the foreign contractor lead, the code signature, all of it. Graves's stomach sank. How? Anonymous leak, possibly internal. It hit 3 major sites in the last 20 minutes. There's already a trending hashtag, Your Honor Compromised, inside the courtroom. The chair of the honor committee gavelled the session to order. Graves handed the phone back. We go forward. They'll twist the truth if we hide. The committee opened with the standard procedural oath. Logan stood, reciting the code with the same solemnity as the others. A cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do. His voice didn't shake. The prosecution cadet began presenting evidence server logs, timestamps, matching access patterns. Logan watched, unreadable. Then the DOD observer interrupted. I'm sorry, but this committee needs to pause. Everyone turned. She held up her tablet. We've just received notification that classified material relevant to this investigation has been made public. Until NCIS completes its security assessment, this hearing is suspended. Gasps rippled through the room. Logan didn't flinch. Graves stepped into the aisle. He'd seen enough tribunals to recognize the shift in the air from discipline to damage control. The honor board had been ambushed, and now the rules were changing. The NCIS field office at West Point operated out of a secure suite beneath Jefferson Hall, buried beneath layers of historical brick and modern firewalls. Graves had been here before routine investigations, security briefings, but never as a father. Special Agent Lena Duran pulled up the composite file on a large screen. This is the access string we isolated from the physics simulator plugin. Encrypted with a known cipher. First seen 3 years ago in a DARPA breach traced to a Moscow-linked contractor. Major Keller paced nearby, so the simulator was weaponized. Duran nodded. Yes, the plugin was part of the instructor's digital lab package, updated during spring semester. The breach wasn't just about cheating. It was about using cadet systems to backdoor into sensitive platforms. She tapped a second screen. This is what they were after a cached server that mirrored test environments used in command simulations. Buried in one of those was a deprecated nuclear response schedule legacy data, but still classified. Graves leaned forward. Why wasn't that purged? It should have been. Someone at the contractor level either left it in or planted it. Keller crossed her arms. Logan didn't know about any of this. Maybe. But he had elevated access. And he didn't report the cheating ring, even though he saw its structure. Graves stared at the string of code glowing on the screen. He might have suspected, and stayed close to track it. Duran looked at him. Then he's sitting on evidence. If he has it, he needs to hand it over now. Graves found Logan near the old parade grounds, sitting beneath the iron statue of a mounted cavalryman. You knew it was more than cheating. Logan didn't look up. Not at first. But once I traced the plugin's behavior, I knew it wasn't normal. Why not report it? Because I didn't trust you. Ethan exhaled. That's fair. But this is bigger than either of us, if you have anything. Now's the time. Logan reached into his pack and handed him a data stick. Encrypted copy of the plugin's behavior logs. I built a sandbox to trace its outbound traffic. You were tracking it? I was trying to build a case before the honor board buried it as just another scandal. Graves stared at the device in his hand. You realize what you've done? Logan stood. Saved your academy, maybe. Or damned myself permanently. Guess we'll find out. For the first time, Graves saw not a cadet, not a suspect, but a soldier. The alert came in at 23:40 hours. Cadet Logan Graves was not in his assigned quarters. Colonel Graves stood on the edge of the rain-soaked obstacle course, boots caked in mud, his breath misting in the cold. Search teams fanned out across the campus perimeter. Floodlights cut across the darkness like blades. Last ping off his phone was near the north tree line, Keller said, voice raised above the wind. He's too smart to keep it on, Graves muttered. What would he be doing out here? Graves stared into the storm, following the code trail. He's chasing whoever set this in motion. Logan's hooded silhouette darted across a culvert, boots splashing into knee-high water. The storm howled around him. Ahead, a glow flickered from an old maintenance shed near the combat simulation annex. Inside, two cadets hunched over a terminal, surrounded by soaked backpacks and crushed Red Bull cans. The server tower in the corner buzzed. "Copy the rest of the directory and purge the logs," one said. Footsteps. Then the door flew open. Logan burst in, soaked to the bone. "Step away from the system." They froze. "You don't want to do this," one said. "We're covering our tracks. Yours too. You're burying proof of espionage." They looked at each other. "You don't know what's really going on. I know you're erasing evidence." Outside. Headlights appeared. Graves and a squad of MPs arrived. "Hands where we can see them," Keller shouted. The cadets surrendered. Logan stepped back, eyes on his father. "You followed me. I trusted you'd run toward the truth," Graves said. Logan didn't smile, but he didn't look away. Back at HQ. Forensic team secured the hardware. Graves watched from the glass wall as Logan gave his statement to NCIS. Keller approached. "You found him. And the breach source." Graves didn't answer right away. "Finally, we're not done yet. But for the first time, I think we might be on the right path." The storm had broken by dawn, leaving the sky a bruised gray over the Hudson River. Colonel Graves stood at the edge of the bluff, the river glinting below in steel-colored ripples. The boathouse, an old cadet rendezvous point from generations past, stood 100 yards down the slope. Inside. Logan waited. Graves stepped through the open door. Damp wood creaked beneath his boots. Logan sat on a bench beside a rusted canoe rack, hands clasped, a thumb drive on the table between them. "I decrypted the last piece," Logan said without looking up. Graves nodded. "Show me." Logan pushed the drive forward. The plug-in was only the entry point. The real payload was a lateral worm hidden in the Academy's network update 2 months ago. Whoever wrote it knew our systems, knew what legacy data would still be cached. Graves turned the drive in his hand. "You've had this how long?" 6 days. "Why didn't you come to me?" Logan finally looked at him. "Because you'd shut it down. Hand it off. Bury it in protocol. I needed to trace it to the end. And if the honor board expelled you in the process, I didn't care." Graves sat across from him. "You were part of the ring." Logan shook his head. "I embedded myself to observe it. I saw the breach forming. I knew if I went through channels, someone would scrub it. So I waited." Graves' face hardened. "You broke the honor code." "I followed its spirit when the system failed its letter." Silence stretched. Then, softly, "You still could have told me." Logan's eyes were dark. "I didn't know if I had a father left to tell." Graves stood. "Let's fix that. Together." Logan rose, slow. "Then you'd better be ready to burn your career to the ground." Graves pocketed the drive. "I am." The tribunal chamber had been reconfigured. 3 Pentagon observers now sat behind the honor committee, along with a senior NCIS liaison and 2 civilian cybersecurity experts from the Department of Energy. It was no longer an academic proceeding. It was a national security inquiry. Graves stepped forward, placing the decrypted flash drive on the evidence table. "This device contains proof of a coordinated cyber intrusion against the Academy's internal network, with origins tied to a foreign military contractor. The student cheating ring was used as camouflage." Logan sat nearby, no longer under direct accusation but not exonerated either. His cadet uniform was neat, his expression resolute. Graves continued. "My son embedded himself within the ring, tracking the breach. His actions violated procedure but preserved critical evidence. Without him, this back door might have remained hidden." Murmurs flickered through the chamber. One of the Pentagon observers held up a hand. "Colonel, are you saying you authorized his actions?" Graves said. "But I believe they were justified. I'm prepared to accept full disciplinary responsibility for not reporting the conflict of interest sooner." The superintendent spoke next. "Colonel Graves, are you willing to submit to administrative review and possible demotion?" "I am." Logan turned to him, surprised. Graves met his gaze. "Honor demands sacrifice." The committee recessed. Outside, reporters gathered in the mist beyond the wrought iron gates. The Academy's reputation was bruised. but still standing. Inside the conference wing, Logan and Ethan sat alone for the first time in days. "You didn't have to do that," Logan said. "I did," Graves replied. "You upheld the code when I couldn't. This time." It was Logan who looked away first. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. The cadet quad was quiet. Too quiet for a spring morning. A black SUV idled at the base of the command steps. NCIS agents loading sealed evidence containers into its rear compartment from the opposite walkway. 6 cadets, heads down. Bags slung over shoulders, were escorted out in silence. The expelled. Graves stood at the top of the steps, cap tucked under his arm. His dress blues were immaculate, but his posture was softer than usual. His command voice had gone quiet. Keller joined him. "Formal charges processed. 3 civilian contractors arrested. The DOE confirmed the code fragment links to a Chinese intel shell firm. Looks like Logan was right all along." Graves nodded. "He still broke protocol." Keller tilted her head. "You both did." The superintendent approached. "Your resignation is accepted. Colonel, effective end of week. The Pentagon signed off on administrative demotion to full bird. No dishonor attached." "Understood." "Sir." Graves saluted. The superintendent returned it with genuine weight as he turned to leave. Logan stood waiting in the courtyard below, wearing a plain navy blazer, no uniform, no rank. The cadet honor code had spared him expulsion but stripped his commission. He'd graduate without a bar. "Logan," Graves said, "I heard. You deserved the uniform. I never needed it to serve." They walked in silence down the path toward the old chapel, the bells beginning to toll the hour. Across the campus, cadets emerged in formation. Graves slowed. "You know they'll rewrite the procedures after this. Change the reporting channels, safeguard the servers." "Good." Logan looked at him. "But they'll also remember who let it happen." Graves nodded. "Let them. It won't be the worst thing I'm remembered for." And still, they kept walking side by side, not as officer and cadet, but as men who had both paid a price for the truth. The morning sun crept across the West Point parade ground, turning dew into gold. Rows of chairs lined the green in perfect symmetry. Flags rippled in the breeze. Families filled the bleachers, murmuring, clapping, adjusting camera lenses. The class of 2025 sat in formation, the front row a man short. Logan watched from the side in a civilian suit, arms crossed, face unreadable, no cap, no insignia, just a folded program in his hand. From the main dais, the superintendent began the closing speech. "Today, we graduate not just cadets, but citizens shaped by sacrifice. In a year where our honor was tested, we remember that integrity is not inherited. It is chosen and earned." Applause rippled across the field. Logan didn't move. Behind the bleachers, a small cluster of reporters filmed quietly. A caption would run tonight: "Son of Colonel in espionage scandal attends graduation in civilian attire." Logan didn't care. At the rear of the stage, a door opened. Colonel Ethan Graves stepped out, not in dress blues, but in plain service khakis, a cardboard file tucked under one arm. He made no announcement, no salute. He walked the perimeter until he reached the far end of the field, where Logan stood. They didn't shake hands, just stood together, watching the class rise in unison to receive their final orders. Logan spoke first. "You still believe in this place?" Graves nodded, enough to stay. "Congress asked me to advise the Reform Commission. Civilian oversight, institutional reform." Logan arched an eyebrow. "You reform." Graves allowed the faintest smile. "We all serve in different ways." The cannon boomed. The class threw their caps, and the air filled with cheers. But at the edge of the field, father and son stood quiet. A new dawn had begun.